It's inevitable.
Funeral services are changing.
There's no way we're going to stop that.
Your crematoriums went viral last year.
People want more choice.
I actually thought my head was going to explode. I was like, what is going on?
A lot of people refuse to change. Those people are not there now.
Left behind.
Left behind.
Welcome to the podcast, Death, a Changing Industry. I had the great pleasure to be with the Westerleigh Group CEO, Debbie Smith. A huge thank you for your time today, Debbie. Really excited to talk to you and learn more about your company and your ethos and your future as well. So first of all then, if you're comfortable to talk about your backgrounds and who you are and how you got involved in Westerleigh.
So first of all, thank you for coming here as well, John. It's great to welcome you as well to our new crematorium here at Mercia Forest, our very first day. So very privileged to have you here today. I guess I feel very privileged and I've had a great career. I've had a very varied career. Probably what you don't know is I'm a pharmacist. I went to university and studied pharmacy. I then joined Boots and was there for almost 30 years. And I stayed at Boots because it's a great company and it had a great purpose. It still has a great purpose about helping people look and feel better. And I guess I just got the opportunity when I was there to do so many different roles, get so many learnings. But my favourite role when I was there was going over to be managing director of Boots Island. So I had an absolutely great few years living over in Dublin, and probably my biggest learning of my career, because whilst it was the Boots brand, it was in a very different country. And even though it's just over the water, it's different. It's got a different healthcare system. Stores over there were different to they were in the UK. The people are different. They've got, it just is a very different ethos to lots of things. And it made me really immerse myself into the country, into the business, really understand the Irish customers, understand what the Boots brand stood for over there, and to really build so how do we continue to help the people of Ireland look and feel better? How do we build that relationship with the customers, make it a great place for our colleagues to work? And we did lots of new things over there. We opened up lots of new stores, and we introduced lots of new services. So a lot of the pharmacy services, like morning after pill, flu vaccinations, just things that in Ireland had not been done by pharmacy before. Just had a great time. And I guess my proudest moment is we got to be in the top 10 greatest places to work in Ireland, which again for a UK business in Ireland was quite an achievement. And I'm really proud I got nominated as well for one of the most trusted leaders, which again, just in a UK person going over there felt great. But so many learnings, which I think have helped me in Westerleigh, which I'll come on to in a little bit. But again, I've had lots of different roles. So I then went on to work at the post office in a CEO role over there, really helping them to build a relationship again with postmasters, and I won't go into a lot about that, but everybody will know there's been a lot of challenges over the years with the postmasters, and it was really about building that new strategy. And when I looked at that, it was very much around you've got to put your customers and your postmasters first and start to think about what is it we need to do to build that relationship back up. Lots of learnings, working with government and lots of things in that role, which was very different to Boots. And then comes the time of coming to Westerleigh. I took a few years out between Boots and post office, and at that time I did a PG Cert in business and personal coaching because I love coaching in the work environment. I was really keen to join another business and use some of those skills and continue to grow and develop a business. Tell a little bit of the stories about how I joined Westerleigh, because I'd left post office, it was the pandemic, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do next. And I've already been a chair and a non-exec and a few things like that. I thought, shall I pursue that career more than anything else? And I was thinking about doing that when I got a phone call, and it was the headhunter, the recruitment agency, and they phoned me and they just said, we've got a business that we think you will really love, that we'll think will really fit with your values. It's got a really strong purpose. It's in the care industry. It's making a difference in communities. It's growing, it's changing, and we think it will really excite you. And I was sat upstairs, and I remember coming out of the room, and we have like a little bit of a balcony over into the kitchen, and I leant over to my husband and I said, wow, I said, I was thinking a lot about going back for a full-time job. I've just had a conversation, and I don't know why, but I feel really excited about it. But they can't tell me who it is yet, because I think like everybody's aware now, Roger wasn't well at the time, so they hadn't yet announced that, so they couldn't say who the business was. And a couple of weeks later, I got another phone call to say, right, I can tell you who it is now. And I'd spent 2 weeks looking up health and beauty industries and all the things that I'd done in my past and all of this, care homes and pharmacy and everything else. And they said, it's a crematory business. And I remember I just went, really wasn't expecting that. But I said, but you know what? I'm so excited about what you told me previously. Let me go and do my research. So I'm going to look at the industry, look at the sector. I'm going to go and visit some crematoria and I'll come back to you. And the following day, I headed off to a Westerleigh crematoria, a Memorial crematoria, a Dignity. I'd had the experience of my own parents, which had not been great, over in Manchester and Nottingham. And I walked into the grounds, and the first people I met was a groundsman in one of the sites. And I just started talking to him. I just felt something. I felt the way he's talking about caring for the people that visit here, even in his tending the gardens. I wandered around the sites, and every one I felt peaceful, tranquil, relaxed. And I just thought, I want to work in this sector. I want to be part of it if I'm lucky enough to get this job.
It's that depth, isn't it?
Yeah.
The depth which is here. Yeah.
I just wandered into some of the offices as well and chatted to the people. They're incredible. And that was all of them. You know, I'm not distinguishing between any of the different companies there. But when I started to meet the Westerleigh people, talk about the purpose, talk about the values, I just thought, wow, this couldn't be a better fit for my values, what's important to me, what I'd love to do in the next stage of my career, and you know what, I'll go back full time for that because it's worth it.
Fascinating.
So,
I think what it highlighted to me is what you did at Boots is that care and service, which sort of ties into what you're doing now and what this is all about, really. You mentioned about ethos and that reason why. So with Westerleigh then, and like the direction forwards, what is that? What is the ethos and what is the culture? What do you want it to be as well?
There's a really, really clear purpose at Westerleigh. And it was here before my time. You know, you come into a business and you go, oh, you know, I'm a new CEO, let's look at all these things. It's perfect for the business that's here. It's about providing that exceptional care, beautiful grounds like where we are here today, all of our crematoria, but that then really enables families to remember, mourn, reflect, celebrate their loved ones in a way that is really uniquely personal as well, so that we can make it right for them, whether it's they're looking for the full funeral. You know, as you know, as a funeral director, some people want everything. They want really elaborate funerals. They want to push the boundaries. They want to really bring the person to life in how they do that. And other people want a much more quiet, simple funeral. We make all our decisions based on it. Is this going to allow us to deliver exceptional care? Is this going to allow us to be uniquely personal? When people ask me, can we do this? Are we allowed to do this? Should we do this? I go, well, is it legal and moral? And is it really caring for the person? Is it personal? Then do it. Don't ever say no to anything like that.
And that right there is what has really caught my attention in Westerleigh. And when I met Alan Jose, who's a big part of your team, he gave me a tour of a crematorium. It was Westerleigh, down in Bristol. And we had a tour around, and he was telling me about the culture and about how you provide services for people. And the crematoriums that I'm used to going to, one of them, I wasn't allowed to put more than 3 floor tributes on the floor of the chapel. And when Alan Jose told me on the tour that you actually allowed a horse in the chapel, I actually thought my head was going to explode, because I was like, what is going on? Like, that's what it should be. But it's like we've almost forgotten the purpose and what the reason of all this is. It's about providing that platform to say goodbye to our loved ones. And I felt very, very hopeful by meeting your team, because it's like you said, if it's elaborate, if it's very detailed, personal, to the most simple, you will change the platform and that foundation accordingly to what someone wants. It's almost taking it back to face-to-face, basic communication. What do you need? How can we serve you? And it's very refreshing. So thank you.
No, you're very welcome. And you know, we worked very hard to build those funeral director relationships as well, so that between us we can really enable the family to have what's right for them. And you say, you know, as funeral directors, you spend a lot of time trying to understand what a family wants, what's important to them, bringing to life their loved one, so that you can make it, so you can really celebrate or whatever is right for them in the service that they have. And we want to enable that where we can. We will always say yes.
Thank you, because I know you mean it as well. I've seen it firsthand. So thank you so much. Also as well, so obviously how you serve families and how you serve the funeral industry is very apparent. From working with you in my role as NEFD president, which I've now finished, what I saw as well was a real strong connection you have in the areas where you're based, in the communities you serve. And that seems very important to you as well. Could you expand further on that, please,
Yeah,
Debbie?
of course I can. So community has always been really, really important to me. So when I was in Ireland, I was on the board of Business in the Community Ireland, and we did a lot of helping businesses take on a more responsible role in society, but also it was helping people through a big return to work programme, people who'd had hard times, and helping them get back into the workplace, because businesses really can be a force for good if they all come together and work collaboratively together. It's not just one business, you can do it. Westerleigh were already doing it, so again it was something for me that was just like, wow, I love this, I can continue to work with this, I can continue to bring my passion to this and what they're doing. And I go around all the sites and they're all doing something different with the community. There's lots of things happening. It could be as simple as a bereavement cafe, or they're doing a special open day, or they're working with a charity to do something. But there's so many different things that are happening. We fund different charities. We encourage all of the sites to support local charities because we think, again, that's really important in being connected to your community. Last year we had the Huntington's Society, because obviously Roger had been diagnosed with Huntington's, and that just felt like absolutely, Roger had been a great CEO of this business prior to me, a lot of big relationships, it made a difference to so many people. It felt right that was what we should do. And then we've gone out again for a charity partner for this year, and it's Dementia UK. That's one that's been voted, but is one that's really close to my heart. My mum had dementia. I was just listening this morning to the TV again, because it seems to be every week there's something on around dementia. You think that 1 in 3 of us are going to get it. It's one of the biggest challenges that we've got as a country going forward. It doesn't just affect the person that's diagnosed with dementia, it affects everybody around them. And you and I were talking earlier, weren't we, about anticipated grief when somebody's still around, but it's still that worry of when they're going to pass away. And my mum had dementia, and I still feel I lost her 2 or 3 years before she actually passed away. The person I went to when I needed help, when I needed support, when I needed somebody to listen to me, suddenly wasn't there anymore.
I haven't been affected by dementia firsthand at this stage, but from arranging funerals with families who go through it, I think it must be more difficult to have someone here present who's not there. So physically they're there, but emotionally and mentally they're not there. I imagine that's probably harder than going through an actual loss, the torment and pain of them being in front of you.
Well, it's interesting because, again, I can only talk from my own experience, but I felt the loss quite early on. I was still at Boots, and I would be in an exec meeting and have a phone call from my mum she got herself lost. She didn't know where she was. She was in tears. And she was Manchester, I was Nottingham, and I was having to get in the car and drive 2.5 hours to go and help her. And she'd been a really, really strong, independent woman, very strong, independent woman. So that loss started from then, really. And you're right, because when she actually passed away, again, it was a different grief because of that journey. I think people can have, with their grief, they have guilt, because there's an element of relief as well. Because they've been so tormented, their loved one has. There's an element of relief and release. So then you can also feel guilty as well. It's a good opportunity to say a huge thank you to Westerleigh as well for the support you've given my charity, Child Bereavement UK. So overwhelmed with your kindness. And again, all the support you've given me and the initiative to add content on death, dying and bereavement into the national curriculum. Just a huge thank you. It really is appreciated. Your crematoriums went sort of viral last year for all the right reasons, and that was to do with the white letterboxes that you had. Could you explain more about that and what you did there? So Gedling Crematorium is actually the one that's closest to my home. I was chatting to Leanne, who's the memorial advisor there. We were chatting, and I said I'd worked for the post office before, and then Boots and everything else. And Leanne's mother had run a post office. And she said, I've got an idea about a postbox. It was actually Leanne's daughter, Matilda. She kept asking Leanne, why can't I write a card to Grandma or Grandad? She'd lost both her grandparents. Matilda had worked in the post office with her grandma, so she knew about letters and all of that. And she said, why can't I send her one? So they came up with the idea of getting a postbox, painting it white, calling it Letters to Heaven or Letters to Loved Ones, encouraging people to write a letter or write a card and come and post it at the site just to get your feelings down on paper. And, it really helped Matilda. Why wouldn't it help other children and other adults? And it just went viral. We suddenly had all these phone calls. It's all over social media. BBC wanted to come onto the red sofa. Can she come onto Steph's Packed Lunch? Some programmes I'd never even heard of because they're in the daytime. And Anton Deck then got in touch about going on their show. She got a Point of Light award from the Prime Minister when she went to number 10 and met Rishi and his wife. As soon as we knew how well it had been received, and it's like over 100 letters in the first few weeks, and I was like, we need to roll this out fast. People want this. So what's holding us back?
You've empowered the team and then the team are empowering society, which is incredible. And it ties into what we've been discussing before, to add content on Deaf, Dying, Brilliant International Curriculum. It's about how we support children. Children are aware of what's going on. Why we're trying to shield children, we have a responsibility to protect children, but actually overprotecting can cause more damage. It's about having open communication, and by doing letterboxes, you're again providing a platform for connection, which is just incredible. I talk about connection points from the point of death until the funeral, how you can be involved in a funeral service, things such as children helping take fingerprints of their loved one. I've had before children helping me with their family, obviously they're their guardian or parents, to close the coffin before. What do you think about children being involved in funeral services? Do you think it's important that we give that voice?
I'm all for involving children at whatever's appropriate age. You've got to judge that, and every child's different. As soon as a child is able to understand about death, and most are watching programmes on TV, they're watching the news. Children have iPads now, at a very young age, so they're seeing lots of different things, and therefore I think it's more important now we involve children younger. And I come from a generation where my grandparents died at 11, 12, and I wouldn't have been allowed to go to the funeral. That absolutely happened. So the first time I experience real death is when your own parents die, and I was a lot older. I was much older. I certainly think the more we can talk honestly to children and involve them. When my mum died, somebody gave me the advice. There's always that moment when in a funeral they play the reflection music. Find a reason to go up to the coffin and talk to your loved one. She said to give flowers to the immediate family and let them walk up, and they can put the flower on there, but then you can have a little bit of your own moment. It was that little bit that made the difference.
That's fascinating. Again, connection points. So it's so important when someone dies to try and create as many connection points as someone needs. So that's fascinating, and thank you so much for your insight there. We discussed before about funeral service being really personal or really simple, whatever somebody wants. Do you think overall funeral services are changing at all?
I think they're changing massively. I think we've got a lot of change to go through. What hit me at the beginning was how this sector has been quite slow to change. And I'd come from pharmacy, which 20, 30 years ago probably was in a similar place about not changing. When I became a pharmacist, we dispensed prescriptions. And we checked prescriptions, and we gave a bit of over-the-counter advice. 10, 15, 20 years later, pharmacists, medicines usage reviews, flu vaccinations, COVID vaccinations, morning after pill, lots of different services that pharmacists were expected to do. Suddenly prescriptions were being delivered to your home. You've now got online pharmacies doing it and cutting out the whole of pharmacy. So there was a lot of change, and a lot of people refused to change. Those people are not there now.
Left behind.
They chose to change and embrace and did home deliveries and started to do the services. They're thriving. It's inevitable. We launched Aura flights, Ashes into Space, just a couple of weeks ago. We're looking at greener options as well. So, how can you have more greener funerals? What's that going to mean going forward? So there's a lot we're doing about that, because I think that's where people are going to go forward. Environmental is going to be a huge impact on us going forward. You only have to listen to the news every day, don't you? It's another conversation. There's no way we're going to stop that. We've just had the hottest month across the globe. This is our most environmentally friendly crematorium we've opened yet, and one of the most environmentally friendly in the UK. We've got solar farm out the back. We've got the most environmentally friendly cremators, best filtration systems. You've got to be thinking about those things all the time, because those things are going to come our way, and we've got an ambition to be carbon neutral by 2032 now as well. But I think we're going to have to really look at going faster on that agenda.
It's not just providing a service, is it? It's deep-rooted in how we connect to other areas. It's all these small details which mean so much.
We need to be a responsible neighbour to any of our locations. That's what we've got to be thinking about all the time.
That's fantastic. And regarding partnerships as well, you recently become a national association of funeral directors, NEFD supplier. What does that mean to Westerleigh to have that in place now? Funeral directors and the relationships we have with funeral directors is hugely important to us. Working closely, building that relationship, working together for the benefit of families is one of the most important things to us. It's only together can we really make that difference. I think it's just important that we continue to talk, continue to understand where the future's going, and continue to work together to change and meet those needs. Totally. As I said all throughout last year, it's onwards together. That's the whole. Collaboration and partnerships are hugely powerful. Yeah, totally. You go far faster, far better. With that, obviously going forwards, you mentioned about future sites being opened, the strong ethos, the strong reason why, the culture of the company, and how you look after the people that you serve and work with. What is the future? Is there anything else that on your radar that you want to achieve as a company?
I probably haven't mentioned actually is the most important in lots of ways is how we continue to develop our people, because we can't do any of that without them. If change is happening, we need to help our people embrace that change. We need to help our leaders lead for that change and do it in a way that they enjoy as well.
Empowering them, isn't it?
Absolutely. We call it freedom within a framework. Our ambition is to really enable our sites to run their businesses as they do, their own, locally. Still with the Westerleigh brand, because that's what we're really, really proud of, but give them the tools, the skills, the resources to really be able to grow their business, grow their relationships, do what's right for their funeral directors, their families, their communities, and being there to support them and help them along that way, coach them, develop them. You can change a structure, a lever. It's quite easy to change a structure lever. You can change some processes, but you've got to do it all. So you've got to change structure, you've got to change processes, you've got to change the behaviours, you've got to change some of the skills, you've got to look at your IT so you can support them. You've got to do it all together, otherwise it won't change.
Yeah, it's the whole machine.
And I hear sometimes lots of people talk about, we're changing, we've done this. I go, no, that's only one lever. And change doesn't, you can't change a culture and a way of working in a month. The customer care I've been trying to get all those years, I came here and went, wow. It's already surpassed what I've been trying to do. People join this business because they really care. They really want to work in this sector. They want to work for Westerleigh. They want to really look after people and they really want to serve.
I think this industry, if you're coming just for a job, I don't think it lasts.
No.
Because it's so, the depth, it's so important. I don't think you can survive if you want to just do a 9 till 5 and that emotion's not there. You have to have that connection, don't you?
Yeah.
It's what you're doing.
People feel like they're making a difference, and it's just now, like you say, it's given them that framework to be able to operate within now, to allow them to have more empowerment, more ownership for what they do, and not feel that they're constrained in any way. We've got to break down those barriers if they are, which means we have to listen to them as well, not just they listen to our funeral directors, customers, communities. We listen to them to get it right.
Fantastic. It's very very exciting.
Yeah, it is.
No, well, thank you. And as I say, I'm really excited to work with you. And again, having you on board with the podcast is a huge honour for us at the podcast. So thank you so much again, and for your honesty and your insight into you. It's really interesting to learn from you. I think what you do as a service provider is excellent.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for having us, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, John, and you're very, very welcome.
I'd like to say a huge thank you for watching the podcast today. Please subscribe to the channel, as we have some fascinating guests lined up, and please be part of this special journey. Thank you.